Hello, everybody. It is Michelle with Moksha Grace Coaching, and I am glad to be with you today for a moment of presence. And thanks for being here. Today's topic is going to be about the DIY-ers. And for those of you who don't know what that is the do-it-yourself, right? Do-it-yourselfers. And we all have been a do-it-yourself type of a person at some point in our life, whether it was when we were a little kid and we were like, no, I don't need your help, I'll just do it myself. Or if we're crafty, we like to do it ourselves. We see something on Pinterest and we want to put it together. Maybe we saw a recipe or went to a party and had a really good dish or an appetizer, and so we just decided we would do it ourselves, maybe instead of asking for the recipe. And that's really what we're talking about today, is those that decide that they're going to do it for themselves versus asking for help or guidance from somebody that can help them. We all have family, we all have friends, and when we get stuck, we tend to reach out to them. And sometimes, not all the time. And when we do, there's always that, if you're like me, there's always that thought of, well, I don't want to put any more pressure on them, or maybe they're stressed themselves. And so maybe I'll just keep it to myself. And then we don't reach out. Or it could turn into, excuse my language, it's an old-fashioned term, but the bitch and stitch club, where y'all hang out and maybe you're not darning socks anymore, but you're all hanging out and you're just kind of like letting it all flow. And it's this it's a little bit of a stitch and bitch session. And that can be helpful to let it out, but it's when you get sucked into the negativity of the whole group, and then the energetic pulse of the group becomes very heavy and negative. And a situation like that is not going to move you forward. So a lot of people choose to do it on their own or feel like they have no one they can turn to. And this can create struggles and confusion. You're carrying a ton of baggage, probably on your shoulders. You probably have shoulder pain. You probably have back pain. Your legs may hurt. Your arms may hurt. Your neck. I remember when I worked in corporate at one point, I started having this, it was like almost a lump behind my neck. It was like this weird bump that was growing. And I really had to learn how to let go of that stress, right? And relax and not take so much on or carry it by myself. So if we think about when we do it on our own, hey, Krista, how are you? Thanks for being here today. When we think about doing it on our own, what else do we do when we decide we're going to do it on our own? And, I laugh because I have around me, you can't see it, but I have around me just shelves of self-help books. And I'm sure that if you're here, I'm sure that you do too. We all do. We have, self-help books. We have notes from master classes and workshops and gadgets that are going to help us relax. What if it could be easier? What if it could just be more simple? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what could that look like and what would be needed to make that happen so that you can have the life that not only you want, but for goodness sake, the one you deserve, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. So if you know somebody, your friends that are do it themselves type of people, get them on the call, share this video out, like and subscribe, make sure that you click on the bell in Facebook or YouTube, so you get notified when I go live. But share this out and get them on the call right now, because we're gonna dive in. Okay. The first thing that I want to do while you're doing that is we are going to take a few moments to bring us into the moment. So if you can turn the volume off on your phone, if it's okay for you to close your eyes, then please do so. If you're driving, don't do that. Be safe. But just let's bring ourselves into this moment, because remember, we can't live from the past. That brings in anxiety when we're constantly worried about the past. And we can't bring in the future, because then that brings in anxiety and depression. So you have that on both sides of you. But if you're in the moment, the right now, the being, the doing nothingness, that's where you want to be when we have these talks together. So let's take a little journey there. So we're going to take a big deep breath in. We're going to hold it for 3 seconds. Let's do 2 more into 5 seconds. Big exhale. Now, take a slower deep breath in. Slowly count to 5. And slowly exhale. This time I want you to take a deep breath in, and when you breathe out and exhale, I want you to feel your shoulders. I want you to allow them to drop. That's where a lot of us hold that stress. So deep breath in. Maybe even hold those shoulders up. And then exhale. Just let it all drop. Maybe you heard a pop in your neck. I know I heard one in mine. So thank you for doing that with me. All right. So when we feel lost, alone, overwhelmed, where do people go? Where do we know? Or where do we go? And where do we know that our friends go? Well, there's bad life choices, right? We dive into anything that's going to make us feel good, whether it's alcohol, drugs, no judgment. But we dive into things that can be addictive, that help us numb, right? We don't want to feel. We just want to kind of disappear, curl up in a ball sometimes. We go to our friends, family, people we have relationships with, and then there can be some anxiety around that. Am I going to be judged? Am I going to be looked at differently if people know that I'm a softie, or I'm scared? Maybe you don't even let it all out. Maybe you just tell people the old, I'm fine. Beware of when someone tells you they're fine. Fine is not fine. Fine is something's going on, but I don't want to talk about it right now. And you don't want to push people, right? Just like you don't want to be pushed. You want to make sure that they know that there's a safe place, a place where they can be heard, listened to. Some of us may jump on the internet. How do I beat depression? How do I come out of a slump, right? That was like last week's talk. Some of us will dive into books, those self-help books. Some of us will go to a therapist, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Some of us do nothing, and we either curl up in our bed and just kind of lose hope, or we hang out on the hamster wheel of life and just keep going, the same routine over and over and over again, right? You wake up, you get dressed, you go to work, repeat. And if you're watching this, if you're here, then there's obviously something that you want more of. You want more of life. You want to let go of things, and maybe you don't know how. Personal relationships. So we started talking a bit about that. Going down that route can be helpful as long as it's somebody that's going to be helpful and listen, not try to fix it for you, not try to judge you or say, oh, you're that's silly. Don't you, why you feel that way, right? That's judgmental. And so it can be hurtful. It can even damage relationships, and it can tax relationships too, right? It can just pull it too thin, and it just is not good for the relationship. Sometimes we're not even completely honest and we only give them part of the story. Our friends, our family, everybody's overburdened right now. And yes, having somebody to talk it out with is good. One technique you could use is everybody gets 5 minutes. Everybody has 5 minutes. Bitch and stitch 5 minutes. And then when the 5 minutes is over, have an idea of what you're going to do then to bring up that group energy. So if it's, okay, we're going to bitch and stitch for 5 minutes, but then we're going to talk about the things that are going right. Because we can have a bad day, right? We can come home and, how was your day, honey? Oh, it was horrible. It was bad. Was it? Or was it a moment during the day that didn't go well and you reacted to it, which then created more bad things to happen, and that you're only looking at the negative of the day and not the positive? So we can get wrapped up in that. And then it turns into this swirl of just bad energy. And so that's what, you have to be aware of and you have to be careful of, especially if you're in an environment at work, because it can bring everybody down. Everybody's kind of standing around the water cooler and talking, and it just brings the energy level down. And then everybody has a crappy day. And now the whole team isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it can be taxing on everybody. So just be mindful of that. So books and the internet, one of my favorites. I started this journey, I want to say I'm going to age myself a little bit, 1988, 89. I remember we were having trouble at work. No one in the office was getting along. Everybody was not communicating. It was drama and toxic. And our boss forced us to go to a conference. It was over a weekend, and it was the Insight conference. And it opened my eyes to affirmations and law of attraction, just a little bit of a taste of that. And through the years, I dived into it a little bit more, found The Secret and law of attraction. And so I've been going along this path and this journey since 1980, 88, 89. That is a long time. And it's interesting. I was talking with my mother yesterday, actually, and we were talking about a very delicate topic. And my response was very different than what it used to be. And she made the comment of how much I've changed, how different I respond to things and that I handle things. And I would say that's happened over the last 5-6 years of really working on that. And it wasn't therapy. I've done therapy. Everybody's done therapy at some point. And therapy tends to be a long-term commitment. It is, the biggest difference is you go to therapy. Some people go for years. Some people go for their entire lives. And the main difference is that in therapy, you're going to dive into the old, kind of understand it, right? And move forward. But coaching, the difference with that, and what I found in my 5 or 6 years of being coached and being a coach, is there's processes and skills that are taught to the client to put in place right now, not when you get clear of the, depression or the situation, but right now, what can you do to move you forward? Address, acknowledge what's happening, and move forward. And so that has been, I think, the biggest difference I know for me of why I've made so much more improvement in my life in the last 5 or 6 years versus 20, 25 years, 28. So Let me just check the comments. Hi, Raymond. Hi, Cindy. Yes, therapy serves its purpose, Krista. And yes, coaching rockets you forward. It's true. And again, it's because you're learning techniques to move you forward, and you're having someone hold you accountable for what you decide you want to accomplish. So that's a huge difference, is having that accountability. Someone to say, okay, what's happening right now and how can we move things around so that you can move forward? So life coaching is not meant, any kind of coaching is not meant to be forever. It's meant to address the certain goals that you want to go through right now. Now, here's something interesting, is that when you go through coaching and you handle, you bring up a topic, let's say the feeling of not feeling good enough. That's a big one, right? I just don't feel good enough. We have all grown up at some point. This came into our life, and because we weren't born with that. No, that we learned. And so to get rid of that, we have to look at it a bit, not going too deep into the past, but acknowledge maybe where it came from. And then what can we do now to move forward? The kicker is that 3 months can go by and something else about not feeling good enough can come back up. And here's why. Because we're onions. And when you peel one layer, another layer is exposed. And so the coach can help you go and peel back those layers at a faster pace. And because you're being taught the skills and the techniques to deal with those feelings, now you can address it on your own because you've been taught. And so that's part of it too, where the therapist is really going in and healing those past traumas. We're going, okay, the past traumas happened, but now can I use it as a lesson to move me forward and catapult me? So I just think that that's really important to understand the differences. And both are very good. All of this is good. Reaching out for help is the most important piece. When you feel that you just need somebody to listen, don't just call somebody up and just pretend to have a conversation with them, and that's not really what you need. Tell them, say, hey, do you have a minute? I just need to get some stuff off my chest, off my shoulder. And I don't need you to fix it for me. I just really need someone to hear me, someone to listen. Setting up those expectations in the beginning really help the other person receive the information and do what it is that you need. Because how many times have we gone to a friend or a spouse, a loved one, and they hear the information and they're like, yeah, but you're doing it wrong, or you're thinking about it wrong, or what if you do it this way? What if I don't need your input? I just want to be heard. I just want someone to understand how I feel. And that's it. So the next time that somebody comes to you and they're sharing with you, before you give them the input or respond, don't react. Take that moment and say, are you open to a different perspective? Do you want to hear what I hear you saying? That's a good one. Because they may think they're saying one thing, but you're hearing something completely different. So it's always good to manage those expectations, so that way you're on the same page and you're on the same line and no one oversteps, because sometimes that happens. Why are you trying to fix me? I didn't ask you for that. Or the good one where they give you their opinion or they give you ideas that may help you, but then you decide to do it your own way. And then they come back and go, well, why did you bring all that to me if you're not going to do what I told you to do? You wanted input, you wanted different perspectives, but ultimately you have to make the decision based on what's right for you on how to move forward. So I hope this is helpful. Do any of you have any questions? Let me see what this says. I love the perspective shifts that come from coaching. Yes, absolutely. So often I just need a new way to look at something. And that's true. And you know what's huge about that is because the coach is not attached to you emotionally, right? It's somebody from the outside looking into your world. Friends are attached to you. Loved ones definitely attached to you. Your boss, oh my goodness, talk about don't do that. Uh, you want to go to somebody who's neutral, who can give you that outside perspective, that can look from way up above, see all the different angles, that you're dealing with, and then respond to you if you're open for that response on a level that is going to actually be helpful and maybe shift your perspective. It's not the goal to always shift your perspective, but it is helpful when it's needed. And so that's perfect. Let's see. I have an investigation tomorrow, and Dan probably on an estimate. Yes, my goodness. Investigations into what's happening into families and their homes. That's a team going in and looking from a different perspective, an outside view, and helping an entire family potentially move forward, and teaching them what they need so that they can address the situations as they come up and maintain the peace that's created as well. So does anybody have any questions about what is going on with them right now, or something that you want to, approach, a topic that you want to approach? I'm always open to hear what you guys would like me to talk about. You could definitely put that in the comments. You can put it in the group if you haven't joined the Calm the Chaos group. It's Calm the Chaos, Your Path to Emotional Freedom. Right now, I am actually highlighting different members and just celebrating when I see that something is going on in their lives, and they're just handling it and managing life. Definitely. Sharing without offending is tricky for me. Cindy, I hear you. And I think that, if you're open, that goes back to asking permission in a way of, do you want to hear my perspective? Would you be open to hearing my perspective? Always getting that permission before, do you want me to weigh in here, or do you want me to just listen? And that's why setting that up in the beginning of the conversation can be so helpful. And then, of course, it's us having to push the mute button on our own, voice, because maybe we see a way out. And that's what happens, is a lot of times we see the path forward. And, when I'm talking with a client and there's something going on and they're sharing, a lot of times I can see that path. And it's not about giving the answer. It's guiding the client to the answer so they can see it for themselves. Because how many times has someone told you something, or you've told someone something, given them the answer, and they didn't listen, but then someone else gave them the answer and they listened? So it's all about what mode they're in. Are they in receiving mode? Are they open to hearing? Are they hearing from their heart? Or is it more of a gut reaction? So it can be very, very tricky. I don't think you can go wrong if you ask first and manage those expectations. I would say definitely give that a try. So we are coming up on 24 minutes, or just past 24 minutes. I look forward to seeing you all next week. We are going to be talking about the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And what exactly do I mean by that? So we'll have some fun with that. And definitely, if you're ready to go on this journey, have that accountability and make great strides. End 2023 strong. Absolutely go on my website, learn more about me, book a call. That's what I'm here for. This is what I love doing, is helping people move forward, because I'm paying it forward as well, because that's what happened with me. So thank you all for being here. Remember that every day, any day, can be good or it can be bad. It's all about the choice that you make. So choose wisely, and I'll see you next week. Bye.